Hello, welcome to Intersoft Solution tutorial video. This video will show you how to handle the supplier data creation, update, and delete, using UXGridView and DevForce. This video tutorial uses Intersoft Client UI MVVM Data Application DevForce project template. A new page Supplier XAML has been added to the project template, and it contains UXGridView to display supplier data. Repository and view model classes for suppliers are added to the project. The supplier's repository class in Model Services folder serves as a data repository for suppliers table. It is inherited ROM data repository class that provides read-only data access. The supplier's view model class in View Models folder is the view model for supplier. It is inherited from GridView model base class that also provides the view model for read-only data access. For more information about how to retrieve data from WCFRIA service or DevForce, please see UXGridView support page in www.intersoftpt.com/support/UXGridView/tutorial/video. Let's run the project. Navigate to Suppliers page. As you can see, the supplier's data is displayed in UXGridView. Now, let's begin the tutorial. Go to Supplier's repository class. To create an editable grid, the repository class must be inherited from editable data repository class. The editable data repository class contains methods that provides data access and transaction functionalities. Next, open Supplier's view model class and modify it to be inherited from editable GridView model base class. This class serves as a view model base class that supports server-side data access, data validation and data editing using query descriptor. Open supplier.xaml. Build the solution before continuing to the next step. In this mode, UXGridView will provide the query information allowing you to process it further to a data service. This is possible with the help of query descriptor, which serves as an intermediate object that contains the query information which you can use to process the query to a data service. To perform the data operation against the data source available in server. First, set the query operation property to server. The sort descriptors property represents the descriptor object that encapsulates the sorting-related information. The page descriptor property represents the descriptor object that encapsulates the paging-related information. Bind these properties to the related properties in query descriptor and set the mode as two-way mode binding. UXGridView needs to have at least one sorted column to display the data. In the constructors of Supplier's view model, you can add contact name column as the default sorted column and sort descriptors. Resolve the namespace. By default, the auto-generate column property is enabled, and UXGridView will automatically generate columns based on the entity schema. You can choose to display only some specific columns by disabling this property. To specify the columns manually, you need to create a collection of UXGridView column. Add a new UXGridView text column and set the header property to supplier ID. Bind the column to supplier ID property. You can hide the column by setting the visibility property to collapsed. Repeat this step to add other columns. IsRefreshed property indicates whether the UXGridView is refreshed. You can bind it to IsRefreshed property in the view model and set the mode as two-way mode binding. In this project template, batch update feature is enabled. However, batch update might not be available in all data providers such as WCFRIA service, because it doesn't support client caching. Several batch update related properties can be bound to the properties of UXGridView. The auto-edit operation property indicates whether UXGridView should try to commit the changes after each data editing operation. Has changes property indicates whether the row data context has changed. The reject changes command property indicates the command that will be invoked when data changes is rejected. The reject row command property indicates the command that will be invoked when row changes is rejected. The save changes command property represents the command that will be invoked when data changes is accepted. You can bind these properties to the related properties in View model. To enable insert operation in UXGridView, set can user add rows property to true. The new item property represents the new item to be added. You can bind it to new item property in View model and set the mode as two-way mode binding. Besides that, you can bind several commands related to insert operation. The insert row command indicates the command that will be invoked when inserting the row. The prepare new row command property indicates the command that will be invoked when preparing new row. The validate row command property indicates the command that will be invoked when validating a row. Bind these command properties to the related properties in the View model. Run the application. Note that previously you have disabled the auto-generate columns property and specified the columns manually. As the result, only the specified columns, company name, contact name, city, and country, that are displayed in UXGridView. Next, input a new supplier data in the new row. Press Enter to add the new data and it will be added to UXGridView. Since batch update is enabled, the added rows are still cached in the client side. You can either choose to save the changes or reject the changes. To save the changes, click the Save All Changes button in the status bar. All the changes will be saved in the data source. Back to Visual Studio. To enable update operation in UXGridView, set can user edit rows property to true. The update cell command property indicates whether UXGridView should try to commit the changes after each data editing operation. The update row command property indicates the command that will be invoked when updating a row. Bind these command properties to the related properties in the View model. Run the application. You can edit the cell by selecting Edit in the context menu or perform double-click at the selected cell. Type the changes and press Enter. Note that the changes will not be saved until you click the Save All Changes button in the status bar. Back to Visual Studio. To enable delete operation in UXGridView, set can user delete rows property to true. Then, bind the delete row command property to related property in View model. It is used to indicate the command that will be invoked when deleting a row. Run the application. You can delete the data by pressing right-click on the selected row or pressing Delete key. If you incorrectly delete some rows, you can choose to undo all changes by clicking Undo All Changes button in the status bar. All changes will be reverted to the original data. But if you have deleted data correctly, don't forget to save all the changes. In this video you have learned how to handle the supplier data creation, update, and delete, using UXGridView and DevForce. Thank you for watching Intersoft solution tutorial video. For more videos, please visit our support website at www.intersoftpt.com/support.